Hey, everybody. Welcome to this Daily Dispatch. It is a little after 5 o'clock here on the East Coast on Thursday afternoon, and we wanted to come to you and tell you about what is happening over in Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey. There is breaking news that ICE guards have assaulted a large number of detainees there who have been on hunger strikes as a result of the abominable conditions that they're being held under. You remember Delaney Hall, of course, is the site of a horrible situation where 3 congresspeople, including 80-year-old Bonnie Watson Coleman, Rob Menendez from Hudson County, New Jersey, and LaMonica McIver, along with Newark Mayor Ros Baraka, went last year to Delaney Hall to do a spot inspection, as they are entitled to do as members of Congress under the law. Ros Baraka was arrested. The mayor of Newark was arrested. And as a result of a tussle that was happening, LaMonica McIver, Congresswoman McIver from Newark, New Jersey, tried to prevent guards from assaulting Mayor Baraka. As a result, she has been indicted by a grand jury, and the Trump administration is going after her, trying to lock her up for assaulting federal officers. That is complete and utter bullshit. I was at Delaney Hall within, I would say, half an hour of this happening, and I can promise you, having spoken to, not to Congresswoman McIver, but I have spoken to other members of Congress who were there, including Mayor Baraka, who's not a member of Congress, and all of that is complete and utter bullshit. I'm telling you this to set the stage for what is going on. Delaney Hall is a subhuman wreck that is by the docks in Newark, New Jersey. It was the former Essex County Jail that was in such awful disrepair that the county refused to keep their county detainees in there. And I'm telling you right now, this is not typically, it's not a wine and roses kind of administration there. And yet it was, despite that, Delaney Hall was still too much of a shit show, even for Essex County to use as a county jail. The GEO Group bought it to the tune of $1 billion. They have a $1 billion contract from the Trump administration to run it from ICE. You may be surprised to know that the lobbyist for GEO Group when this was all happening was one Pamela Jo Bondi, who became the Attorney General just weeks after this contract went through. And what is happening now is that the conditions at Delaney Hall are so subhuman that the detainees there have been on a hunger strike. As a result of that, you have had members of Congress continuing to show up there to try to lend support. You have had both United States senators showing up there this week. Senator Andy Kim was pepper sprayed by guards, despite the fact that he has every right to be there. Under the law, he can do surprise spot inspections anytime he wants. Cory Booker, I believe, was there yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, the other senator from New Jersey. Governor Mikey Sherrill, a former member of Congress, showed up. She was not allowed in because, of course, she was going to be, she's not a member of Congress, so she cannot come in, even though this is the governor of the state of New Jersey. She should be allowed in because this is all happening on her land, not her land, but in Newark, which is the largest city in her state. Nevertheless, this is what has been going on. Well, today, this afternoon, and this is very important to note, detainees at Delaney Hall were assaulted by guards amid ongoing protests at Delaney Hall. And what is going on there is that the injuries were described as bleeding and trouble breathing from tear gas canisters thrown by guards, according to Kathy O'Leary, a spokeswoman for the advocacy group Eyes on ICE. There are, according to Nadia Morsi, who's the advocacy group's director, she put out a statement saying right now, there are ICE agents inside of Delaney Hall violently beating the hunger strikers. Someone will be killed if no one intervenes and shuts this down. Elected officials showed up there whose constituents are being held at Delaney Hall and have said that this is a violation of international human rights law. They are political prisoners. They are Trump prisoners, said Ravi Bala, an assemblyman from Hudson County, New Jersey. A woman identifying herself as Gabriella said her husband called her at around 1:30 p.m. and told her that he and multiple other detainees had been assaulted. She said that the men who were assaulted put their hands up in the air during the confrontation with ICE officers and she said that her husband saw ICE agents cleaning up the blood off the floor. They hit everybody. 3 ambulances from University Hospital in Newark were seen arriving at the facility this afternoon. And around the same time, a contingent of ICE officers outside the facility's southern entrance, and I can picture exactly where this is, doubled to 40 officers. Andy Kim put out a statement, and I'm going to read his statement because I think it's important. My office has received multiple calls today alleging use of pepper spray and physical force outside detainees inside Delaney Hall. If true, these actions must stop immediately and demand accountability. He also added that ICE and GEO Group, again, $1 billion to run this shit show that operates Delaney Hall, had a reason to keep the detainees safe, but instead they've refused health officials to inspect the facility and has stood in the way of congressional oversight. Andy Kim, the day that he was pepper sprayed, tasted the food at Delaney Hall. He said it was inedible. I want to be clear about who is at Delaney Hall. There are people at Delaney Hall who are doing everything by the book. They are showing up to their immigration hearings. They are following the law. They are following exactly what the United States government has asked of them to go through the process. And yet, they are being rounded up, separated from their children, separated from their spouses, separated from very often the only place they've ever known, thrown into a fucking gulag in Newark, New Jersey. As we sit here in New York, Michelle, on the west side of Manhattan, this is literally less than 10 miles away from us, across the Hudson River. And let me tell you, friends, it might as well be 10,000 miles. That is the difference between the comfort that Michelle and I sit in right now and the horror and the hellscape that is in Newark, New Jersey, as we speak at Delaney Hall. It is, I don't know where to begin to describe, Michelle, the shame that I feel today as an immigrant myself, as an American, as a human, as a descendant of Jews who were rounded up for nothing more than being Jewish in the Soviet Union and sent to the gulag. These are people who were rounded up for nothing more than having the wrong skin color very often. Some of them, like a horrific story that we read about last summer, are people fleeing, like my family fled Russian repression, Vladimir Putin's repression, coming here and asking for asylum at the border, as is their legal right to do under the law. Immediately, either given the choice of being deported back to Russia, where they would be sent to the gulag for a decade, if not longer, and separated from their small children, or being sent to Delaney Hall. These are people who came here because they believed in the inscription at the foot of the Statue of Liberty, which stands less than 10 feet from Delaney Hall, 10 miles from Delaney Hall also, that says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of routine shores, send them the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my hand beside the golden door." And I'm going to cry right now because these people believed in that promise 10 fucking miles, if not less, from where they're being assaulted right now. I am beside myself.
Julie, the thing I think about, because I have not been, and it's something I would like to do, I feel like I should do as a human being, visit the concentration camps that still stand in Europe. And one of the things that you said about your experience there that has always stuck with me is that it the grounds itself are upsetting and horrifying in every imaginable way. But it was the homes, it was the houses, it was the community that was around the concentration camps that the Nazis were killing and torturing people. That was so earth-shattering to see people just going about their lives. And I know that for decades, at least as someone whose family has lived in the United States for centuries, the question we've always asked ourselves is, how could that happen? How could something like that happen? And we're seeing it in front of us. It is happening, to your point, 10 miles from where we're sitting right now. And I feel, I mean, it's not about what I feel, but it's like helpless a bit. But people have to know about this. And I feel like there's so many bad things happening right now, and people are suffering. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford to put gas in their cars. You know, but meanwhile, it came out today that they're taking money from the national parks and giving it to Donald Trump to build his, uh, ego projects. Meanwhile, we have a literal Gestapo rounding people up from the streets of the United States of America and putting them in concentration camps that we are paying for. And how we can sit here as a country and allow this to happen another day.
You know,
I don't recognize us anymore.
I have to tell you, there's been a lot said about what is happening in Gaza. There's been a lot said about Nicholas Kristof's column about how Palestinian prisoners are treated in Israeli prisons. There's been a lot of conflicts about that column. Friends, it is happening here. Get off your moral high horse about what is happening elsewhere. I'm not suggesting you don't pay attention to that, but I'm suggesting that there is something here. And you mentioned the Holocaust, and you mentioned what was going on and how regular Germans and regular Poles and everybody else were sitting here just turning a blind eye, or maybe not even turning a blind eye, very well aware of what was happening. But nevertheless, it continued to happen. I'm going to say something. There was a woman named Hannah Arendt, who, if you have not read or heard about, you really should, who covered the Eichmann trials. She was a survivor herself of the concentration camps. And she wrote about the banality of evil. And what she basically said was that all you need for evil to happen is for good people to do nothing. Friends, that is happening here. If you've ever wondered what was going on, if you've ever wondered how people could sit by as people were being rounded up and sent to concentration camps, if you've ever wondered about that knock on the door at 3 a.m., which my grandmother told me about when they came for her father in the 1930s under Stalin, and she never saw him again. And that happened to every single Soviet family. There's not one that was spared. If you've ever wondered how that was possible and what kind of people allowed that to happen, friends, we are those people. I am going to the Philharmonic tonight, Michelle. I am beside myself while I'm sitting at Lincoln Center listening to beautiful Saint-Saëns and Rachmaninoff, that across the river, you could practically see, I mean, you can't see Newark, but it is right here for people that don't know the geography of.
It's like a stone's throw. Like it's,
I mean, listen, if there were no traffic, it would be 20 minutes to get to.
Easily, if that.
And we're all going to get off this broadcast, friends, including Michelle and me, and we're going to go about with our day.
Yeah. We're all dealing with so much. You know what I mean? Like, as Americans, as people, in my own personal life, I'm dealing with things. In your personal life, you're dealing with things. There's 4 hours in a day. We're one human being. What can we do? Sometimes I don't know. I don't know the answer to that all the time. I don't even know the answer to that some of the time. What I can say in this moment is awareness is number one. Because again, we can't count on the American media establishment and legacy media to be telling these stories in real time in a way that is meaningful and impactful, and is also reporting the stakes and the consequences of these things, not just the, oh, well, DHS says this or the White House says this. Who gives a shit what the White House says? The White House could come out and say Donald Trump weighs 150 pounds. Like, it's just because they're saying something doesn't make it true. And just so people also understand, and because I think, again, it's very easy to forget these things. Kristi Noem is out. She was such a clown, a community theater clown, that like it was easy to notice her, right? In all her little costumes and everything. We have Mark Wayne Mullins, who stepped away from his Senate seat in order to run DHS. And this man is a monster in his own right. This is a person who threatened to fight someone in the Senate during a hearing. These people are unwell. These are the same people who are also now planning, again, after the World Cup, because they're not stupid, apparently, all the way, stopping international flights from coming into quote unquote sanctuary cities, who won't allow ICE to basically terrorize people and act as a Gestapo. Places like Newark, places like New York City, Chicago, Boston, Los Angeles, they're saying that they're going to cut off international flights being able to be processed in these places.
You know, I'm looking at the New York Times website right now. You want to know what we can do, friends? And this is in the context of 60 Minutes firing Sharon Alfonsi for talking about CCOT.
Jesus Christ, yeah. What the hell, man?
A detention facility that did not comport with what the Trump administration and their handmaiden Barry Weiss wanted. So they held that story and just meddled in 60 Minutes. Today, Barry Weiss fired Tanya Simon, the incredibly well-respected leader of 60 Minutes, and replaced her with
she's a truth teller. She's a truth teller.
Replaced her with some flunky who's never worked in broadcast television, a former columnist of the Times.
She doesn't own a television.
Barry Weiss, not Tanya.
Sorry, yeah, Barry Weiss doesn't own a television.
And
she's an ideologue.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And today, the paper of record, one of the very few independent media outlets that is left that are legacy media outlets. I'm looking at their homepage right now, and this is what's on their homepage. I'm not going to read all of it. Delaney Hall is not there, but what is at the top right, where big stories should go, is on Barbados, a view of America's past and an island's present. An NFL star suffered a devastating injury, so he learned how to swim. Is codependency good? That's from Modern Love. And I can go on with the nonsense. Okay, they have Texas police, school police, pepper sprayed, tackled, and tasered students. Okay, what about here in the New York metropolitan area, New York Times, which is your home base? Nothing. Nothing. You know why? Because those Texas students, for the most part, are American citizens. They don't give a shit about these people because these people are apparently subhuman. Where have you heard this before? Their hunger strikes and their pain doesn't matter. So what can you do? Turn that shit off.
Yep.
Turn that shit off. And you, friends, I don't want to quote Barack Obama. He got a lot of things wrong, but this one he got right. We're the ones we've been waiting for.
Yep. Yep. And it's I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, is it my own algorithm like feeding hope to me? I don't know. But I do feel like I'm hearing and feeling this rumble beneath the surface of all this bullshit, right? Like all of this, like the stuff that you just read off that's on the front page of the New York Times that like doesn't really matter. Underneath all of that is the real stuff that people are talking about, that they're angry about. And you know, as far away from the original conversation here of what's happening at Delaney Hall is like AI and data centers and how this is destroying communities and clean air and clean drinking water from people's communities. We're seeing professors or speakers even at commencements in colleges saying, "Oh, AI is the future," and getting completely booed off the stage. Yet Ronnie Chang from The Daily Show got up and spoke. I've just read at Harvard and said basically FAI, FAI, and the whole place just went like nuts cheering for him because people have had enough. People have had enough. And while, yes, there were millions of people who chose Donald Trump for reasons I'll never understand, there's plenty of us, millions of us, that did not. And there are more of us that did not. There are more people in this country that did not vote for Donald Trump than did vote for Donald Trump.
And friends who did vote for Donald Trump, except for the crazy true believers, is this what you voted for?
Yeah.
Seriously, like if this is what you voted for, if you voted to have people who did everything right by the book, put into gulags, sent to concentration camps without due process in El Salvador, set to facilities where criminals would not be held in these kinds of conditions, pepper sprayed, assaulted,
tortured,
starved. If this is what you voted for, you're not a member of the human race. I'm sorry.
No. And again, like how easily and how quickly we forget. And this is how history repeats itself, because the last person who was alive to tell the story is gone. And these stories only exist on pages and not through people. And that is the difference. And this is why we have to continue. And like the storytellers really are a huge, a component in what's happening right now in the resistance. Is we have to continue telling stories, whether it be us, whether it be, there's a bajillion creators who are in this space who are doing this. And we have to continue to have the conversations to spread the information, the correct information, our opinions, and our values. Because, the United States is not a perfect place. It never has been. It's always been an effort for, a more perfect union. But the way that it's going, I mean, like we're about to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this country, which, I mean, arguably democracy did not exist in the United States until 1965. 250 years of the United States. And we have a cage fight match being built on the lawn of the White House. And we have a Treasury Secretary getting up in front of a press pool in the White House saying that we're going to we're going to change the law, change the rule that we can put living people on dollar bills and our money now, paper money. And we're going to make a $250 bill and we're going to put Donald Trump's stupid face on it. That is what is happening in this. Like, this is the stuff that we care about.
Well, my friends, panem and circenses. In Latin, it means bread and circuses. That is a phrase from the 1st or 2nd century of the Common Era, AD. And that's what Donald Trump is giving us. He's giving us bread and circus. Are you not entertained?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and again, like we cannot continue to mince words. It's like how the New York Times and the establishment media going back to 2015 would not say out loud that Donald Trump was lying. They wouldn't use the words lying. They'd say mistruths or like misled, and they still won't say the words. And we have to say the words. This is a concentration camp existing here in the United States of America that is being paid by the American taxpayer. Well, we can't afford
dollars.
Yeah. And I just sorry.
We can't afford to pay for grandma to go to a nursing home.
Yeah, we can't afford to pay for, paid maternity leave. We can't have voting rights in this country. We can't have single-payer health care. We can't have any kind of affordable health care. We can't have any guaranteed anything. We can't have clean water and clean air anymore because we have these white tech bros sucking it all up for themselves.
Well, because let me say this. More breaking news, Michelle.
Yeah.
Mike Carroll, the wonderful governor of New Jersey, who's doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
Said that the New Jersey Department of Health was stopped from obtaining a full access to the facility on May 28th, today. She said that they were only allowed, they try to conduct a health inspection as Delaney Hall, as they are entitled to do since it is a facility in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah.
They were denied full access. They inspected only a limited part of the facility. She said, we will review and share the department's findings from the limited portion was allowed to inspect, and we will continue to pursue all appropriate avenues for demanding transparency and ensuring humane conditions for the individuals being held at the facility. Andy Kim said that there's chaos at the facility, the lawlessness of the Trump administration that has led to the conditions inside and out. You know, what more is there to say? Well, there's a lot more to say. Friends, we might as well blow up the Statue of Liberty. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I lift my hand beside the golden door. I just, every time I think of that phrase, we're not the golden door anymore.
No.
For over a century, while that statue has stood, and that inscription that was put there by a Russian immigrant who wrote that poem, I don't know what to say. I mean, Michelle, I don't break down in tears. This is not me.
No, well, it is you, because, you know,
but I am just, again, I just think about how you and I are going to get off this Zoom. It's not a Zoom.
I know.
This live, and everybody else here will too. And I'm going to, make dinner for my family, and then I'm going to go listen to some beautiful music at Lincoln Center, and you're going to go on with your night, as everybody here should. I'm not suggesting that we all go to Delaney Hall and hold a vigil there. It's not safe part of Newark anyway. But, these people are going to go to sleep tonight, being assaulted by guards, being starved because they cannot eat the slop that they're being given.
And they didn't do anything wrong.
They didn't do anything.
And even if they did, I mean, we don't do that. But I'm saying, like, in this particular, these are children, these are babies. During the first, his first reelection in 2020, during that cycle, the kids in cages was the big headline. And that was the line that a lot of people, especially a lot of Republicans, independents, right-leaning independents, that was the line, right? And I guess I'm asking now, where is everybody? Where is the outrage? Because, but there's, again, like, there's so much going on, and people are suffering in this country. And, like, that's all by design, right? I mean, Steve Bannon, it's like, flood the zone, make everybody so upset and suffer for so many things that they won't have time and they won't have the energy. The apathy will be what takes over and ushers in fascism in the United States. And, I don't even know, like, how do we regulate our nervous systems, like, through, I mean, it's just been 10 years of absolute horror. And again, like, over the weekend, we were talking about Memorial Day and the people who have died for this country. And specifically, I was remembering in the moment a trip that I had made to Normandy to walk through the cemetery, the American cemetery in Normandy, and to think about the over 9,000 young boys, average age of 25, who stormed the beaches to take out Hitler. And how, like, we can't even imagine that. We can't even imagine what that's like, to just be a regular person on a regular day, living in a regular place in this country, and being sent off to do that. The most heroic act imaginable. And I often say to myself, because we have to think, like, it all cannot have been for nothing. It can't have been. It just can't be. And it won't be. And we have to make sure that it isn't. And, as much as they're trying to corner us, and they're trying to cheat, and they're taking people's rights away to vote, they're making it harder to vote, they're taking away drop-off places and polling places and making it confusing. They're cheating, because they know that the way that they're doing things is so horribly unpopular that they certainly cannot win on their own merits. They know that. And here we are.
Okay. We don't need to belabor this. Friends, I beg you to please find, it doesn't need to be us. I mean, thank you for joining us, and thank you to all the tens of thousands of new subscribers to Mayday that we picked up over the last few days.
And thank you for the people who are supporting us in all the ways, because we see it and we appreciate it so much.
And thank you to the trolls who showed up in this chat. You helped us with our algorithm, so we are deeply grateful to you as well.
Always helpful. Always helpful.
Keep it coming. But I also, sorry, Michelle, I just want to say one more thing, but I also wanted to say this. Please find, in addition to us, other outlets that are focusing on these issues. Don't let them bury this. Don't let them whitewash it. Boycott CBS for the rest of its fucking Ellison-owned life.
Yep. And that includes Paramount.
And that includes Paramount. Okay? You don't need to watch Matlock or whatever the hell shows are on CBS and Paramount. You don't. I'm sorry. Kathy Bates is a lovely woman.
I forgot it. Yeah, I was like the old one, the Andy Griffith one, but I forgot.
But the point is, like, I'm sorry. If you work for CBS, you don't deserve to be watched. If the New York Times doesn't get its shit together, and I mean pronto on this stuff, consider that as well.
Yeah, this is the same paper, obviously not the same writers. It was a long time ago, but like the ones that were saying that Hitler was, a new man after prison. He was, he had learned his lesson and he had come out stronger and softer. Like these are it's when have these kinds of storytelling, strategies ever paid off? Ever. And I just want to, point out a few things here in the chat on Substack. People, politics and aphrodisiacs says, I just think it's not people who don't care. We do, and we try what we can. What do you suggest? Protest doesn't really stop it. It has to be everything, and not everybody's going to do everything, right? Not everyone's going to show up to protest. Not everyone's going to write letters. Not everyone's going to boycott certain things. But there has.
How nice is that?
That's a friend.
And I don't drink.
That's a friend. That's a friend. And for other people, getting angry about some of the, maybe analogies that we've made and stuff. Obviously, saying that please, no one's being serious. When you said something about the Statue of Liberty, someone got really upset.
Well, can you calm down? I don't really mean blow up the Statue of Liberty. Nobody's going to go out in a rowboat and blow up the Statue of Liberty.
I know.
I mean, the concept of what the statue means. Do you guys understand? And I have to say this because I feel so strongly about this. I've told the story before. Michelle's probably sick of hearing me talk about it. But for those who haven't, when we came here as refugees, and had we come here under this regime, I would have been separated and put into foster care at the age of 7, and my parents would have been in Delaney Hall. So believe me when I take this seriously. But when we were going to land on an Alitalia flight from Rome, from Fiumicino to John F. Kennedy Airport, my father, we were sitting in the middle, they have like the rows, and there's the 2 or 3 seats on the right and the left, and then they have like 3 or 4 seats in the middle. We were sitting in the middle. My father, who did not speak a word of English, somehow made it clear to the person sitting in the window seat, please, can I switch with you just for the landing? I want to see the Statue of Liberty. I want to see it. I'm very sorry.
Don't be. This is horrible.
You can't see the Statue of Liberty when you're landing at JFK, when you're coming in from Europe. I mean, I know that because hundreds of flights over the course of my life, but we didn't know that back then. This is a man who'd never set foot in this country, and he loved this country so much. He understood seeing that statue meant that he was free. There are people showing up at the border here because they are fleeing the same thing and worse. And they want to see that statue because they think it represents freedom to them. And instead of seeing that statue, they're being rounded up and put in a detention center. Put in a detention center just a few miles down the road. Just a few miles down the road. They're so close to it. They are so close. If they walked out of Delaney Hall and made a left and walked to the water, they might catch a glimpse of it. They would catch a glimpse of Manhattan. They would catch a glimpse of everything that makes this country great, or what used to make this country great. And instead, they're being locked up. Is this really who we are? I mean, really, Michelle, is this who we are? Anybody on this chat, the trolls who are trolling us right now in this chat, is this who you are? How can you, how? This is not American. This is not what this country stands for. I say this as somebody in the chat said, I can only love this country as an immigrant can. You're damn right. That's how I love this country. Because I know what's on the other side. I've seen it. My family has seen it. We've lived it. How could we become the very thing that we all fled? The people who came here during, the 1900s because they were fleeing the famine, a British imposed famine on the Irish. And they came here with nothing because they were fleeing starvation in Ireland. The people who came here in the late 19th and early 20th century from Italy because of all the strife that was happening there. The people who came here with nothing on their back into Ellis Island from Eastern Europe because they were tired of the pogroms. And even the people like your family, Michelle, who came here before the Revolutionary War, part of your family did. They were fleeing something. People don't just pick up and leave the only place they've ever called home unless they are desperate and there's no alternative. I don't know why your family came here, but they obviously couldn't stay where they were because it was awful there for them. Even the whitest people on earth who came here on the Mayflower came here because they were being repressed for religious reasons and they had to come here.
Yeah.
Because the Puritans were being repressed in England at the time. I mean, everybody came here for that reason. For the most part. The only people who didn't were the Native Americans, and we were the ones repressing them. You want to talk about colonial occupiers elsewhere? We sit here in the land of the Lenape, Michelle. I don't want to sound like a land acknowledgement statement because that's stupid. But my point is, all of us came here except for the Native Americans for some reason. So did these
and people. The people were forced to come here. Yeah.
So are these people.
Yeah.
These people are no better or worse than the rest of us. But why are they rotting away in Newark, New Jersey, and Delaney Hall? Especially the ones who did everything by the book. I mean, my God, if I were here and as an undocumented migrant, I wouldn't show up to one more appointment that I was mandated to show up. I would go
no.
I would go so far underground.
No way. This is my in-laws are in Sicily this week because that is where my father-in-law's family left Palermo on a boat to come to the United States not very long ago, the early 20th century. And my father-in-law wanted to go and see where he came from for that very same reason. And who could blame him? Because we all want to understand, right? Because we're enough, at least, my generation, my parents' generation, are far removed enough that we don't feel it. We don't feel the trauma as much, at least some of us. Because to your point, Julie, most of us cannot imagine picking up everything that we've ever known and leaving with a bag, if that, and going to a new place. People cannot imagine what that is like.
It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, for folks who did not watch Pax Americana today, which for newcomers here is a show that we do with friend of Mayday, Ogle Outman, every Thursday at 11. And what I said was that yesterday I had the immense privilege of interviewing Alex Vindman, who's running for, Alexander Vindman, who was the brave, courageous truth teller who reported Trump's quote unquote perfect phone call that led to Trump's first impeachment. but also is now running for Senate in Florida. And if you live in Florida, please support Alex Vindman. But I said to him, because he and I came here, I didn't realize until we started talking, we both came here within each other.
Yeah.
From the former Soviet Union. I came from Moscow. He came, I believe, from Kiev. But the point is, he's from Ukraine. I came from Russia, all part of the same country at the time. And he was much younger than I was. But I said to him, and this applies to migrants, all of these people. When you go through something like that, nothing in the world scares you, not even reporting your commander-in-chief, the most powerful man on earth, for committing a crime. I have not been scared of anything since. There is nothing in the world that scares me. Nothing. Because the most traumatic thing that, well, short of the death of a child, obviously, but the most traumatic thing that could have ever happened to me, except for, hopefully I'll never have to experience that, but that, and he agreed with me. We don't know each other, but he agreed with me. And the reason I say this is because I guarantee you, if I went into Delaney Hall right now and pulled any of these random people aside and said, what is the most traumatic thing that ever happened to you? They wouldn't say Delaney Hall. They would say leaving everything behind they ever knew to try to come here for a better life. And how do we reward these people?
I fear sometimes that we cannot face our present because so much of our past we haven't faced as well as a country, and refuse to look at it dead on. And I think we're just riding the coattails of this American exceptionalism. And this is a wonderful country with so much promise and has done so many good things. And I love this country, and I know you love this country as only an immigrant can, as you've said, and others. But it doesn't mean that we're perfect, and we have to pretend that we've been perfect.
There's my dog.
There's a lot going on at your house.
This is a good dog. That dog. But go ahead.
Yes. No, but it's the as BJG just said in the YouTube chat, that there's not been a reckoning. There never has been.
There never has
not for
been.
what we did, not for what we did to the Native Americans who lived here before all the Europeans decided to wreak havoc and terror. Not what we, the Americans did with the slave trade for hundreds of years in this country. Not for the Civil War, not for Jim Crow, not for anything. We've just moved on, and we moved on from Donald Trump the first time, and look what happened.
Yeah.
If we do not face our darkness, it will continue. And that is why Julie and I have said a million times as well, and this is all part of it, that there is no moving on from this. Whoever the Democratic nominee for president is going to be in 2028, we will not support you unless you are promising accountability and tribunals for the people who have justice. Justice.
My faith tradition, there is a phrase, and I'll translate it. It says, justice, justice, you shall pursue. And I believe that. I'm pretty Old Testament about this stuff. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. And that's what we need. We need justice. We need accountability. And the first two people in the dock are Kristi Noem and now Markwayne Mullin.
Yep. And Stephen Miller, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
But their name is on the door. Well, Donald Trump's name's on the door, but thanks to the Supreme Court, we can't pursue justice against him. But
what an absolute
their name
joke.
Their name is on the door.
Absolute joke.
And to every Republican and the Democrat who voted to confirm Markwayne Mullin.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, what kind of monster do you have to be? I mean, it's funny. I'm on this group chat with my husband and a couple of his buddies from college, and they were the night that Ken Paxton won on Tuesday, right? They were texting, being like, Democrats, I don't know, this candidate doesn't fit everything I like and doesn't check all of my boxes, I'm not voting. Next one. This guy is literally a felon who has broken 18,000 laws and hurt children, and, and every Republican gets in line. Do not ever doubt for a second that this party will not fall in line behind the worst imaginable person after they have defended someone who is protecting pedophiles.
They only care about power. That is their governing.
Yeah.
That is their governing philosophy. And if you don't believe me, look to see how J.D. Vance is picking a fight with the Pope.
Oh, it's
the leader of his church, because that's what Peter Thiel demands.
Yeah.
We can talk about it another day.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, this party, the Republican Party, cannot be saved. It cannot be transformed. It needs to be burned to the ground. And, I understand that people are fleeing the party, and then there's more independents in the country now, and which isn't, it's problematic because they still have primaries. They have closed primaries in places like Texas. And so there's a very few amount of people who are deciding who one of the two choices is going to be. But until then, this is our reality. And we have to fight the fight that we're in, not the one we want to be in. And so, not to repeat myself a million times, but people have asked, and I even asked myself, what the hell do we do? And I think the thing is, we have to do everything. And you just pick one. You pick one and you do it.
Spread the word. Don't forget these people rotting away in places like Delaney Hall. And by the way, it's not just Delaney Hall. It is in facilities all across this country. It is facilities like CCOT that are still. It is Alcatraz. There are so many. Don't forget these people, because that's what they want us to do. Out of sight, out of mind. The most fundamental thing you can do. Michelle and I are fortunate. We have a somewhat, large megaphone between Substack and YouTube. By the way, if you're on YouTube, and please just, we don't usually ask for this, but please hype this video, because we really, really, really need to get the word out on this particular issue. We don't typically ask people to do this, but please, if you can, hype this particular video, because there's a list of hyped videos, and the more it's hyped, the higher up it goes, the more people see it, and we need people to see it. We need people to talk about it. But even if you talk to your next door neighbor, or to your cousin, or to your husband or wife or best friend or dog walker or dog, whoever. Yeah. Even if it's one person, just tell people about this. Just tell people about this. I believe, Johnny, you asked how to hype a video. I think there's a hype button.
I ain't got no idea. Your son is the one who told me about it. I was like, I've never felt older in my life.
Yeah, but apparently it's a big deal, which is how people tell us about Colbert. That's how you found us, with the hype button. So thank you.
Yeah.
Please do that, because we need people to know about this. So please do that. And to everybody else, have a good night. Whatever you do, turn off CBS tonight. There's got to be other things. Or Paramount show you're watching.
Which, like, if you missed earlier, Julie mentioning this, the producer of 60 Minutes was essentially fired because she chose to report on CCOT, in an American concentration camp being operated in a foreign country. Sound familiar? She decided to move forward with reporting on this, and for that reason, she no longer has a job. CBS.
And if you remember, people who've been with us for a while, we were among the first to show that CBS, CCOT,
that they showed on a streaming platform in Canada.
Canada, and we were able to do that. So thank you. Okay, we're gonna go. Whatever you do tonight, please give some thought to what's happening at Delaney Hall, and try to have a good night. Michelle, I will have a good night. Hopefully at the Philharmonic tonight with my wonderful husband.
Take it in, because like art and music and these things which we talk about often here are our path out of this. So
Yep.
Take it in.
Okay. All right, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.